Welcome back to Owen Talk Sports for our second official Blue Jays weekly review. The Toronto Blue Jays had 7 games this week. The record is currently 25-28, so still 3 games under 500. They're currently 1 game behind the wild card spot, and they're 10.5 games behind the division. So without further ado, let's get into how they did this week and over some other statistics about the team. So it was an interesting week for the Blue Jays. They went 4-3. Definitely potential for them to have won more games this week, but unfortunately, Tides didn't go their way. So we'll have to settle for 4-3 record, which I will say was my ideal record that they did at least get to this week. They ended up getting it, so can't be mad there. They had a couple rough nights to start in the Bronx. A 6-7 loss to the Yankees. I don't know why it said 6-7. It should be a 7-6 loss to the Yankees. Daryl Rodriguez would get the loss. He came in, gave up 2 home runs, which really killed them, but George got a homer in the game. Ernie hit a home run. So a couple Blue Jays looking to show some power there, and they did, but unfortunately, Yariel Rodriguez decided that he wanted to commit some more crimes that night. Then the second game to the Yankees, and the Blues in 5-4. Dylan Cease was credited with the loss. Jays offense was doing a bit of damage there once again, but unfortunately, Dylan Cease gave up a few home runs that really cost them in that one. Then the third game of the series, Trey Savage outduels Cam Schlittler, and the Blue Jays steal a game in the Bronx. It was a wild 7th inning for Schlittler. Lost his command, and the Blue Jays took advantage of it. Trey Savage, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, a beautiful performance. We'll talk more about that performance in a future part of this video. Then the final game of the series, Adam Macko gets credit with the win. It's a 2-0 win for the Blue Jays. Spencer Miles was the real winner of this one, going 4 2/3. Striking out 6 batters, I'm pretty sure, and just absolutely shutting down the Yankees. Spencer Miles, once we have a healthy rotation, just has to be a leverage reliever. He's too good to be used as a non-leverage guy. Spencer Miles absolutely nails. Then the Blue Jays would take on the Pittsburgh Pirates to end this homestand, or well, not end this homestand, to start this homestand with a 6-2 win in the first matchup. Kevin Gausman would get the win there. And then in the second game, Patrick Corbin ends up outdueling Paul Skeens in a wild turn of events. Patrick Corbin goes 6 innings with only giving up 1 run. Absolutely elite showing from Patrick Corbin somehow. And this one in Toronto still really confuses me to this day. Must have seen Livy Dunn was in the crowd inside. Yeah, she's my girl now, Paul. But yeah, an absolutely wonderful performance from Corbin. Like, offense, we're able to get enough runs in. If I'm not mistaken, George Springer once again led off the game with a home run. Absolutely elite week for George Springer, again, which we'll be talking about more later. And then unfortunately today, the Jays couldn't pick up the sweep. Dylan Cease ends up getting credit for the loss. There was a couple scares in this game. Dylan Cease would leave the game after 4 2/3 innings, not due to him being terrible, but due to potential injury, but sounds like he'll be fine and could even make his next start. Then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was hit by a pitch and immediately pulled himself out of the game, but once again, sounds like he'll be fine and again could potentially play tomorrow. So Blue Jays, see a couple injury scares, but nothing to worry about. And yeah, an overall 4-3 week for the Blue Jays. The start, the bats were looking good. End of the week in New York, bats weren't looking good. Did enough to get a couple wins over the Pirates this weekend, and 4-3, still in the playoff race. So yeah, let's get on to the next thing we'll be talking about here. So it's time to discuss the playoff race in the American League, more specifically the American League East and the American League wildcard scenarios. Currently, the Tampa Bay Rays at 34-16 lead the American League East. They're currently 4.5 games ahead of the Yankees, who are 31-22. Third place, the Blue Jays at 25-28, are 10.5 games off the Rays. So we'll have to make up ground like they did last year on the Yankees. And it can be done, especially once they get healthy. So we'll have to see when that does happen. It could be as early as this week, with apparently Lucas and Barger not far behind. The Orioles in 4th place at 23-30 are 12.5 games behind the Rays. Just build their rotation upgrades once again. The team had such an elite offensive core and couldn't build around it. And subsequently, the offensive core's kind of regressed. Gunnar Henderson's not as good as he used to be. Adley Rutschman's not as good as he used to be. Jackson Holliday's just not that good. I mean, yeah, you added Pete Alonso, but you had Tyler O'Neill, who's regressed, Taylor Ward. The Orioles should be a better team, just aren't. The Red Sox at 22-30 are 13 games behind and currently last in American League East. Obviously, a hot streak can get them back in this playoff hunt at any point, but it's looking like a roughie in the Red Sox land, especially after a hyped up offseason. They add a couple pitchers in Ranger Suarez and Sonny Gray. They didn't really add, well, they added Wilson Contreras, but not enough to clearly compete in this American League East. As for the wildcard standings, the Yankees at 31-22 are the current top wildcard spot, 5 games ahead of anyone else in a wildcard spot. Yankees at 26-26 are a half game ahead of the Twins in the third spot, who are 26-27, who have a 1-game lead over the Blue Jays in fourth, and 1.5 games over both the Mariners and Rangers. Yeah, that's currently it for this current playoff chase in the American League. It hasn't been the year for the Blue Jays they probably wanted offensively, but we'll still go over some of the top performers on the offensive side and the pitching side while we're at it. Starting with the home runs, Kazuma Okamoto's 10 home runs currently leads the team offensively. It's been a good start to life in the MLB for the Japanese hitter. Unfortunately, hasn't been the greatest last week, but Okamoto, he's done this so far. He'll have a hot streak. He'll have a cold streak. Seems like he's on a cold streak right now. Hopefully, that means a mega hot streak is coming for Kazuma Okamoto. Next up, Andres Jimenez, 5 home runs. He's been a surprising bat. Still not where Jays probably want him to be at. I mean, you knew what you were getting in Jimenez. He'd never be some 800 OPS hitter. I think he's like around the 640, 650 right now. That's fine for Jimenez, honestly speaking. So I'll take back what I said. Jimenez, he's a fine hitter. George Springer is a guy who's been kind of underperforming, but 5 home runs does get him third right now. And obviously a monster week this week. So maybe George can start climbing up the home run list. As for the hits, Ernie Clement is your team leader with 59 hits. So a good year for Ernie so far. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in second with 54. The unfortunate part for Vladdy this year is that a lot of those have been singles. You want that to change to doubles and home runs and whatnot. More extra base hits from Vladdy would be appreciated. In third, Dalton Varsho with 48. It's been a good year for Dalton on a contract year. Definitely paying himself some money. While the defense, I don't think has been as elite as in the past, the offense has definitely taken a step up. As for the OPS, we have Yohendrick Panongo, the rookie, leading the team in OPS right now, 770. On the one hand, yes, it's only a handful of at-bats, but I thought I'd still highlight it. Yohendrick Panongo has been very good since being called up and definitely worthy of staying on the roster once guys like Lucas and Barger are back. I'd even say that maybe Lucas doesn't even really deserve a spot on this team anymore. That could be a controversial take, but that's my take. The other 2 guys have already been highlighted. Dalton Varsho, 758, and Vladdy, 758. Once again, Vladdy, lots of hits, but because of the amount of singles he's been getting, that is the 758 warranted. Varsho, less hits than Vladdy, but a few more extra base hits. For the pitching side of things, Dylan Cease, 92 strikeouts, leads the team by 30. So it's been a great year to start for the future AL Cy Young winner with some of the injuries in the American League, and we've gotten the Schlittler. You never know. Kevin Gausman is second with 61, and then Jeff Hoffman, highlight him in third there with 40. It's been a mixed reaction year for Jeff Hoffman, but his expected stats are pretty good. He's had a few good results recently. I still think there's a pitcher in Jeff Hoffman, and I'm not going to give up on him. 40 strikeouts this year so far. He has the stuff. I mean, he could get up to, I think, 100 or something crazy. That wouldn't surprise me. ERA-wise, Louis Varland there with a .65 ERA currently leads the team with as the best number. Then it's Trey Savage at a 1.07 ERA. Elite stuff from Trey to start this year. He'll have a couple starts this week, so he could potentially even lower that. Then, I always mess this up because there's like a bunch of Rogers. There's Trevor Rogers, there's Tyler Rogers, there's Taylor Rogers. I think Tyler Rogers is the one on the Blue Jays. 1.54 ERA. He's been really good. I don't want to, it sounds like I'm a casual, but I don't want to give off that way. I think it's Tyler Rogers. Absolutely great stuff so far from him this year. Had a shaky couple results recently, but other than that, he's been fantastic. As for the whip, Braden Fisher, not giving up many base runners this year, almost a sub-1 whip. Hopefully it gets there soon. Spencer Miles, just slightly below with a 1.03. Once again, probably will be near a sub-1 whip soon. And Kevin Gausman at a 1.05. So that's it for your stats leaders. Now I think we're on to who's hot and who's not. I might be wrong with that. So yeah, we'll see what's up next. I think it's who's hot and who's not. If it's not, you'll probably not be hearing this. All right, it's time for my personal favorite segment I've created. This is who's hot and who's not. We'll be covering the guys who have been really hot this past week and guys who have not been hot this past week. Starting off with the hitter, George Springer. after being a who's not last week, flips the script into a who's hot, just shy of a 1,000 OPS on the week, 8 hits, 4 runs scored, hit 3 home runs, hit 2 doubles, and driven in 5. Definitely looks like George is starting to heat up. And if George can start performing like this at a consistent level and we get the 2025 George Springer, this offense will be just fine. 2025 George Springer is like one of the best Blue Jays I've ever watched, personally speaking. It's up there with the Vlad 2021 season. It's up there with any like Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion year. It was so fun last year watching George Springer, and hopefully he can return to that level. For the starter, Trey Savage, what he did in the Bronx, incredible stuff. 6 innings, no runs, a .333 whip, 8 strikeouts, absolutely incredible stuff. 2 starts this week, definitely vying to get in there. A couple guys had 2 starts this week. Patrick Corbin was the most likely candidate of the 2 starts guys to get on here, but I just thought highlighting Trey Savage's start in the Bronx was the better idea. And then Braden Fisher will be your reliever who's hot performer. He pitched 5 innings this week, didn't give up a run, .6 whip, 8 strikeouts. Unbelievable stuff from Braden Fisher. Basically had the same stats as a Savage had in one start. And Braden Fisher, definitely one of the more underrated guys. Can't believe we only got him for Kevin Biggio. As for who's not hot, Kazuma Okamoto, 2 for 24, a 245 OPS, and 13 strikeouts. It's definitely been a rough time for Kazuma Okamoto. Like I said, he has hot streaks, he has cold streaks. He's currently on a cold streak. Hopefully we can flip that up sometime soon. As for the starter, Dylan Cease, 2 starts, a 6.52 ERA, a higher whip at a 1.35, but that's not even that terrible of a whip. 17 strikeouts is the normal Dylan Cease stuff. Once again, I don't think he was that bad this week, but I do like incorporating batter, starter, reliever. So Dylan Cease was the worst performing starter this week. Again, and for future references, if a hitter, there's like 2 really bad hitters I want to highlight, maybe we do that. Or there's 2 really bad relievers, maybe we do that. But Dylan Cease for now will be the guy we place in the starter category. And in the reliever, Yariel Rodriguez, 2 innings pitched, an 18 ERA, 3 whip. Blew the game in the Bronx. Wasn't particularly good in another performance I think he had this week. Just can't be trusting Yariel Rodriguez right now. Once you get healthy, he's a definite DFA candidate. And yeah, there's not much else to say about Yariel Rodriguez. It's a failed experiment. He wasn't a guy who comes in and throws gas. Wasn't a guy who throws, I don't think has elite stuff. I mean, I'm not an expert on Yariel Rodriguez, and just failed at the MLB level as a starter. Had some good moments as a reliever. There were some good, like last year, he actually was a pretty good reliever, and now he's just blown up in his face. We do have a who's hot, who's not counter. So for who's hot, Dalton Varsho, Dylan Cease, Spencer Miles, George Springer, Trey Savage, and Braden Fisher are all one-time who's hot winners. Who's not winners, we have, or well, not winners, but I'd say losers, George Springer, Patrick Corbin, Jeff Hoffman, Yariel Rodriguez, Dylan Cease, and Kazuma Okamoto. So those are a look at guys through these first couple weeks of reviews of who's been hot and who's not been hot. Will definitely be more names added in the coming weekly review videos. But yeah, that's it for who's hot and who's not. So to wrap up this video, we have what the matchups are going to be next week for the Toronto Blue Jays. They start a 3-game set at home against the Marlins. Should be a fun one. There's a couple fun, interesting pitching matchups. Trey Savage tomorrow. Then we get a bullpen game, which will most likely be Spencer Miles getting the bulk of it against Sandy Alcantara. Then Kevin Gausman against Yuri Perez. Should be a couple fun matchups there. Hoping the Jays can take the series, win at least 2 or 3. Marlins have been a struggling team recently, so it's definitely doable. And then we start a 4-game series in Baltimore against our boogie team, the Orioles, man. These guys have been pains in our asses these past couple of years, but they're not that good of a team. We need to finally start taking advantage of this team. Again, 4 games against the Orioles. Oh, I don't know why that logo's so big. You know, when I make these videos, I try and make these graphics. I'm not perfect at them, but I like to make them just have something while I'm talking. And it pisses me off when I've talked so much and then I see something in it and it's just like, oh, I messed up. But I'm not going to go back and change that. It'll be like that for this episode. But back on track, we played the Orioles for a 4-game set in Baltimore, 6:35 on Thursday, 7:05 on Friday, 4:05 on Saturday, and a 12:15 start on Sunday. My prediction for this week, the team, they've been better lately, and haven't lost a series against a non-Tampa Bay Rays team since like mid-April, if I remember correctly, seeing a stat like that. I'm going to give us 5-2. I think we take 3 against the Orioles. Their pitching's not good. Yes, they have good hitters, but I think the Jays pitching has been elite this year and can neutralize it. As for the Marlins, I do think we'll take 2 or 3. I think we'll lose one of the Sandy or the Yuri Perez starts, but I think the Trey Savage start tomorrow, or when you're seeing this today, should be a win. And yeah, that's it for me here at Owen Talk Sports. Blue Jays has been fun. Hopefully they finish off this week strong and the Blue Jays can push their way closer to a playoff spot. I am Owen for Owen Talk Sports.